It's 10 o'clock. Now, Fox 35 News at 10.
We have some breaking news tonight for you from Cairo, Egypt, where people in the streets, well, they're out there protesting this film that apparently mocks the Muslim prophet Muhammad, the film that, according to some sources, kicked off a deadly retaliation against a U.S. ambassador in Libya and 3 people who worked with him. The Obama administration is investigating whether the assault was that or actually a planned terrorist attack. But again, protesters out tonight in Cairo, Egypt, lighting fires in the streets in protest of that film. We have the power panel in the House tonight. Hassan Shibli, attorney and executive director for the Council on American-Islamic Relations. Christopher Hinn is a Middle East and terrorism expert, both joining us to talk about the fallout from this terrible tragedy in Libya. Chris, let's get to the very latest news that we have coming out, which is the U.S. moving these warships to the Libyan coast. Are we on the verge of a larger scale conflict here?
I think it's a move that we need to make known our presence in the region, of course. But more importantly, I think if there is an extremist group, if it's and I'm not going to pinpoint anybody in particular tonight, but in any of the group, either it's going to be North Al Qaeda or Salafis or Sunnis, whichever, need to be aware that the U.S. will retaliate against what just happened in Libya.
Hassan, we're going to bring in the conversation. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton brought up a point that I think a lot of people thought themselves today. How could this happen in a country that the U.S. helped to liberate, in a city that we helped prevent from destruction?
Well, she made it very clear that it was a small and savage group. You know, the criminals that did this did not represent the Libyan people. They did not represent the Muslim people. In fact, many of the Libyans went to the streets today protesting this kind of violence, these disgusting acts. And frankly, they didn't represent the Libyan people any more than Anders Breivik represented the Norwegian people. I mean, these were terrorists. They need to be brought to justice. Their acts were disgusting. And there's simply just no room for that kind of behavior in the human world.
Sure. And Hassan, I'm interested in getting your reaction, too, to the film that allegedly was at the root of this, which people are still investigating whether or not has ties to this local pastor, Terry Jones.
Well, at this point, you know, it's really not clear who's behind the attacks. For all we know, it could have been pro-Gaddafi forces. It could have been some intelligence services there trying to destroy the stability in the region or further deteriorate it. Or it could have been some extremist fundamentalists. But regardless of who's behind it and regardless of what their motivation or reasoning is, it doesn't matter because it's disgusting, it's unacceptable, and they need to be brought to justice. There is a distasteful, disgusting, trashy film out there attacking the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but I think it's irrelevant, really, because you know, that kind of behavior doesn't justify that kind of response, and the people who did it need to be brought to justice.
Christopher, does it come down to this? There was someone who was quoted in an international newspaper saying today, you know, the U.S. has its freedom of speech, well then let them accept our freedom of action. I mean, we are dealing with two very different types of society. At what point do we find a way to reconcile?
Well, first, let me just touch base on what you just said. I spoke with the current ambassador here in Washington today, Ali Ojali, in reference to what took place, and not only that I support his position, there's nothing to do with the Libyan people here. And again, the Arab League in Washington has condemned these atrocities. But to also the two groups that we're dealing with the small-minded groups. They're not the Libyans. They're not our friends, and those are people who are want to make a statement and targeted a very innocent group of people who are our diplomats. So therefore, they're totally barbaric, and there's no room for discussions with those individuals other than to eliminate them. That's how I feel.
Hassan Shibli and Christopher Hinn, we appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.